really close and could go either way. And I feel like we are starting this series, Turbo Tabs.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just joining us, welcome to our continuing coverage of the lower bracket of ESA Rewind 2. It is our team Svift versus Team Ascent. It is our first map of the evening. It is Sunshine, and the first thing I see on mid-on-brack is Yike just kind of patiently going through from the flowers area, not really finding those stickies kind of open up things for his team. Everyone's kind of blobbing on the right side for Ascent and just playing it patiently. The first bombs will come in from side, but doesn't really want to commit right now. Everyone's just kind of circling around the point, and there we go. First blood will be caused by Sai with that shotgun, that signature shotgun that he's been using all tournament, but Svift is just kind of collapsing on the aggression that Ascent brought over. Maybe it was just a grand debate. That scout going down was just Ascent's folly when it came to losing this mid.
Both teams with a kind of a similar approach to that mid, playing really cautiously, waiting for the other team to make any kind of aggression, but no soldiers kind of bombed in, just dived, and then went away as far as they could, so they could like draw attention to themselves and maybe allow the rest of their team to go forward. And at this little game, Svift took the better end. Ubers are the same, none of the medics did die, so it's going to be up to Svift to try to break this hold. This should be the first stalemate of this of this series, and we've talked about how Sunshine has a really hard last to push on, so it's going to be interesting to see what Svift decides to go. It's only been 1 minute and 30 seconds, so we shouldn't see any crazy things yet. They see obviously a lot of time, and we can see that Paddy is already up for really heavy defense on Ascent's last.
It's barely been a minute into the game on Brack, and they've already brought out the ball sniper. He has quickly gone back to the respawn, however, to check some classes, check some off classes, see if there's any sort of shenanigans happening on that Swift squad, but he can't seem to find anything going on, so he will go back to that sniper. And he's gonna, don't you make another class change ball, don't make me look silly. Yeah, he will stick with that sniper and kind of break things off. You see some aggression coming out from Svift. They're just gonna throw some bodies in, seeing if they can find off a pick. 2 players isn't really a good enough to push out in these sorts of stalemates, especially with the defense they've set up on second on Svift already. So I'd imagine they're just gonna have to wait patiently on Ascent. Maybe throw some bodies in themselves, seeing if they can get just that third person on to really motivate that push.
Oh, Nursey with the arrow on skis, he drops the other medic. It's really opened things up for Ascent now with a clutch arrow from Nursey. He doesn't use the Uber with the high five. He's trying to get onto his head, and what a play here from the medic, completely shifting the situation around in favor of his team.
Yeah, you actually see Zilly, he's trying to maybe block that second point. He brought a few people back trying to pretend that he's going for the back cap, but in turning a few heads, he didn't really have enough time to, I guess, fight that scout, and his health was so abysmal, maybe it was wise not to even bother in the first place. They will claim probably this second point 4-3 just off the back of that little wipe that they made on the second point now, and then keep in mind, on Brad, they've got this supercharge ready.
Yeah, they haven't been forced, so it's looking really good now for Ascent, who's making its way onto the floor area. I can see Paddy is trying to lead the charge, but Nursey hasn't used yet, so it's going to be interesting to see how Svift decides to spam it out, but Paddy finally leads the charge. He's trying to go for the demo man. Zilly is the first casualty of Svift. It doesn't look like Paddy can do much more than this. I mean, he's already getting really greedy onto the lobby. Can't get any more frags than this, and Ascent will probably have to go back. But as I say this, I can see everyone on Ascent going on the top right of Svift. Sai is trying to do some bombing attempt, but doesn't do much more than this. Frogs are getting traded, but it looks like Svift is going to take the better end of this fight.
Oh, Uber charge has come up for skis now, so they can make this push onto second as long as they don't start dropping any players. And the only person that can make that happen is Badonski. Maybe he's got a trap waiting somewhere. I haven't really noticed where he decided to put it, but Svift will claim the second despite any sort of trap shenanigans Badonski might have set up there. They're going to push from the flower side, the flower flank, and start using this Uber. Well, let's see if they can actually force them out over on Ascent, though. They are just kind of waiting back, kind of taking the spam fight. There's a bit of an overextension from Nursey, a horrible position for them to be in, and Svift are capitalizing on this now, and they didn't even have to use the Uber on Bragg.
Oh, this is looking now really bleak for Ascent. This is really funny to see how the situation can shift in a a couple of seconds, it was looking really good for Ascent, and now they're in the back foot. They have to give up their second prompt, probably. I can see Ski is going through Kitchen with a fully charged Uber, and Ascent, it's going to be really hard for them to force the Uber. Murmaloo is trying to go in the backline, but he's been spotted by High Five. High Five with probably another frag onto the sky. Yeah, he gets Paddy as well. This is looking really good for Svift right now. They could go into last really quickly with the Uber at Turbo Tap. This is going to be really hard for Ascent to hold on these points.
Yeah, High Five has been kind of hitting this second place mark on the Scout leaderboard when it came to this land, and you can see why. He's landing all these shots quite consistently, being the first one in for his team and almost the last one out as well. He will get the pick onto Sai to kind of open up this last point takeover. He's pressuring the point as well, and actually will kind of get off the point just to start killing some more people. He's still going to pressure that point with his teammates. The first round on the board for Svift. A very strong start for the upcomers.
Yeah, and High Five once again, what a push from him. And it feels like it all started from that overextension from Paddy onto the lobby of Svift, where the Ascent was pushing. Paddy was maybe a bit greedy here, and the backlash just kept straight ahead, and now Svift taking a really convincing round after all. And it should be another mid now with 6 minutes into this first map of the series.
Yeah, it's plenty of time for them to get around on either side, and the mids were going so well for I believe it was Svift last time. Maybe they can make it 2-0 here, as they're actually bunching up on the left-hand side for Ascent. They, again, don't want to kind of commit in early. That seems to be the trend on this Sunshine map right now. And the first bombs will come in between both of these soldiers. Actually, be Zilly who kind of gets picked off by the, I guess, just the sightseeing scouts there. And you see some of the soldiers want to get behind. Marmaloo will actually chase down that kill, making sure that there's no backhanded Roma play. He's just going to kind of sit back on the sidelines, kind of pick off these few players that are going for Nurse's life, as they should do. When you lose your medic, you've got to go for that enemy medic, because at least you might lose the point, but you'll save your round.
It's amusing to see these two teams going for the exact same mid, mirroring themselves. But a slight add for Ascent, because Paddy and Bedonsky really not overextending, really staying into Nurse's reach, while Keys was a bit more isolated from the rest of his team. So now it's going to be an Uber out for Nursey, and this time, if there's not too greedy, Paddy could lead this charge and make it to a round. But I can see High Five, he was in the backline, he's been spotted, and maybe he's going to try to buy some time for his team. I mean, this is the time to push here on Bragg. Just bring all your players and just take the 6v5 fight, and it looks like what he's doing. It's actually more like a 5v5 fight right now. Svift is actually just going to jump, but AIM is jumping straight into the air, just kind of towering over that point, making sure that nobody can get on it without taking the sting of a few rockets here and there. But Marmaloo just doesn't want to stand on the point either, just kind of hoping that he can edge around, throw some pot shots, and there we go. There was actually a reflect kill during all that, but it's still not going to turn the tide of that match. It's going to be brought to a draw on Bragg. Yeah, really clean push here, and maybe that High Five being in the back lines kind of hurt his team because he wasn't there to hold the last. So maybe a kind of a questionable decision here, but in the end, this is 1-1. Ascent doesn't lose any time to come back into this game. It's been 8 minutes already, 1-1. Kind of a back and forth game so far, and it's going to be interesting to see this third minute, see if any of the teams try to decide to be more aggressive this time. Both of these teams have taken away a mid from each other right now, so it's really still up in the air who's kind of adapting on these mid best. You do see a nice competent bomb from Marmaloo, who wants to kind of pick off this soldier, but he takes away the health pack, and Marmaloo's kind of efforts have been erased away. Now there'll actually be a crater. That is the first kill onto this point from AIM. AIM just kind of knocked down from that bell tower. Paddy wants to take advantage of the fact that he's got a player advantage, but it gets quickly evened out, and they're actually losing more players on Svift. They, as soon as Ascent goes aggressive, the trap is spun. He won't get the shot onto Skis though. That will salvage a little bit of this mid for Team Ascent here, but it's still not quite looking good for that team. Yeah. I feel like Svift decided to be maybe a bit more aggressive this time, sending Zilly in and getting the frag onto Nursey, but Paddy read the situation quite well. He knew he had to make a clutch play to save the situation here for his team, and he manages to kill Skis really with barely enough HP to survive. And now all the team fight is happening on the Ascent second point. Bedonsky reciprocating. He's holding this choke pretty tight. No one can come in, and apparently Paddy wants to lead the charge, but he gets cleared up by both mode, and this should be a reset. Both mode with another frag onto Marmaloo on the kitchen. It's looking maybe a bit bad for Svift now. Only 3 players up. Yeah, trying to make something happen, trying to land some pipes onto Nursey. Nursey actually is really weak, and it's probably going to hold be a reset for Ascent now, but no, it looks like they want to try to keep going in.
Yep, they're still keeping up the pressure over on Ascent, but hopefully Svift, if you boys and girls have been paying attention, they've got a special treat installed for Ascent if they keep pushing that line forward, and they actually decide to back off now. I hope that's not Caster's Curse in the air for the team at Ascent, or Team Svift, I should say. They actually did use that crits during that little Uber exchange. I'm sure Ascent spotted that now, and with their full Uber advantage and a crit streak that they're going to be fighting into, they should be coming into this fight fairly confident.
And so Marmalou is being dominated, it's getting kind of denied by Zilly. Yeah, Zilly claims the frag onto Marmalou, so maybe this is gonna shut down the aggression from Ascent. Everyone is kind of weak on Ascent side, only Nursey is kind of full health, but decide not to use the Uber charge. Really nice play here from Nursey, not breaking in, not giving in, and now Svift has to give up that second point. Svift aim is in the backline. Once again, the one player from Svift is playing behind Ascent, and the last time it happened, Turbo Taps that just converted into a run for Ascent.
Yeah, keep in mind, AIM doesn't even have something like the Pain Train or that Scout class that can cap and get some back caps going for his team. Is fairly useless until he can get some sort of kind of sweeping flank onto him. He actually decides to do a clever array of rocket jumps to return to his team in time, so credit to where credit's due. He will get back into the last point to defend with his team. They're using the Pyro to defend the level 1 sentry gun, but a level 1 is very easy to take down on Brad. They will take that out very early into the Uber. They're getting point pressure now, and you see the collapse coming out from the rest of Svift. It's a very clean collapse on Brack, and only Nursey will survive, and who knows, maybe they might still track her down.
I can't stop emphasizing the bot mode is just cleaning everyone. He's in a 3-man kill streak right now, and I feel like he's really the MVP for Svift, saving this last once again for his team. The crits has been used by Skis, only one frag at the end of it, and it's going to be another reset. I can feel like now Nursey hasn't died either, so it's going to be probably a trade. But no, Paddy and Marmalou, they're going in. One is dying, the other is still alive, and it looks like Bedonsky want to take this fight.
I don't like this cover from Ascent here. I think they're going to take a lot of damage, but they're making it work on Brack. They're actually, the DM is powering through my will, the meta of the game, the current, I guess, positional advantages of what you get when it comes to Team Fortress 2. The DM is just too strong from this Ascent squad, and they're going to keep going with it. This unsurprising turn of events means that they can't really get a stable last defense going. They're going to turn to the soldiers of Svift to hopefully maybe turn things around, and they do get one frag, but the frags are just coming in a little bit quicker. Maybe they can delay times. There's that second spawn wave. They're crawling all over Ascent right now. They're still going for the point, however, and it will finally come to a rest. Unless Paddy, he's waiting, he's looking, he's skulking around, sneaking, and they found him.
Oh,
the
Paddy!
But Paddy, the disrespect on the butt, no. Oh my days, he might take this 1v1 against the other scout. High five has been cleaned up. Paddy Bear, what have you been eating for breakfast, sunshine?
Oh, Paddy must feel really, really good right now, and maybe if good enough to claim another push with the rest of his team. It looks like Ascent is trying to go on the top right, but Bedonsky dies to the nice working from Zilly, and this may as well shut down the aggression from Ascent. What a play again from Paddy, just completely denying the push on Svift onto the second point.
I mean, it may not look like much on Brack, but some of these players might be tilting from that. I mean, how can you really take that on stride if you're over on Svift right now? Paddy just kind of decimated your 2 scouts in there without even breaking a sweat. But in the meantime, they have built up that Uber on that second point for Ascent, but Skis isn't too worried. He's got his Uber in about 10% time. That's literally nothing. So by the time they make this push in, they will be looking pretty good on a Svift to deal with this if everything goes to plan.
And it's going to be maybe a slight slowdown of the situation here. The Ubers are the same. I can see High Five building a gun on Swift last, so we can see how Ascent will try to break this hold. When it was up to Swift, they had a 2-man sack, but that wasn't really useful. It didn't really work out for Swift, so maybe Ascent will try to another approach.
I mean, usually the atypical answer for this on Brack is just to throw a body in. I mean, you have got one of the better snipers in the entire tournament here. Bedonsky will actually be the one that goes down here. So without a demo man, that is a sweet pick than the average scout. And look, you actually even get the average scout as well. Ball will be cleaned up, adding to the reasons why Svift should start pushing here. And they're looking for more reasons over on this left-hand side flank. They're taking the jump actually over on, but they want to do a wraparound play, it looks like, for Ascent. They've popped in their Uber. They've actually taken out Yite and Zilly. That is some big classes for well, this last point defense as well. They need to all hands on deck on this last point, and everyone's a bit fractured over on Ascent. I'm surprised nobody's going for that back cap. They still want to take the fight at this point. What is an objective, says Marmalou right now. He will get cleaned up in the little lobby door area. Ascent kind of come back into the fight with Boar. Boar is back from that respawn queue, and everybody doesn't know where anybody is right now. Is anybody in the Mumble channel, Mumble?
What a messy situation, and Borg claiming the frag onto Yam. This isn't enough to deny the Vanguard of Svift to just push in. What a messy situation here. It kind of was hectic for 1 minute straight turbo tap. I don't think anyone really knew what was happening, and maybe Ascent should have slowed down a bit and reset the situation, but in the end, it's going to be an Uber ad for skis, while Norsi is just going to sit on mid, trying to build a own charge, and looks like Ascent, they are restless. They keep on pushing in through the choke.
Yeah, they will kind of just hang about at this choke area, spam back the soldiers with their new claimed high ground. They will actually throw in Marmalou, and Marmalou actually does survive and get some damage in, opens up the pick onto the ball, but he really needed that health pack, couldn't get it in time before he gets cleaned up by aim. Sai's going to be out of the fight. He's brought down too low, and these scouts are going to start being unleashed over on Svift right now. They actually claim some of these kills from the opposing scouts. Oh, a nice turnaround kill for Bodonsky to maybe kind of dissuade them from going for this midpoint, but they still have 5 players left to deal with. Maybe they'll still commit in. They have got that Uber charge. They have got the forward respawn if they want to, but everyone looks too passive on Ascent right now to suggest they're going to do such a thing.
And I think Ascent was kind of lucky. Maybe Skis forgot he had the Uber ad because he has his Uber way before Nursey had one hers. So maybe Svift could have been really more forward and try to push over this Uber ad. So now it's going to be another reset. But can we even talk about reset? I mean, this game has been so back and forth so far. Both teams playing really aggressively and trying to take the better end with their DM. But it looks like this is actually going to be a slowdown. We can see AIM poking into that kitchen, maybe trying to see if there's any kind of window. And Ascent, looking at Ascent right now, they look like they are kind of happy of waiting. The bomb is coming in from Zilly, but he can't do anything. No rocket onto Nursey, and this attempt didn't lead anywhere.
Yeah, nobody was sweating during that bomb from Zilly there. Very comfortable clean up by Ascent, and they're kind of entrusting Boar right now over on this sniper, and they should have spotted him at this point, and over on Svift right now, and they should be posturing to maybe deal with the sniper, hold either a little bit closer or kind of avoid these long sidelines. He's just maybe looking at this choke point, a way to get in. He will be dealt with. That's the sniper down for Ascent right now. The Ubers will be popped off as well. You actually see some nice kind of cut-off by Yai to make sure they can't get out for free over on Ascent or get any other players in, but it's kind of exposed Yai's position. He will get cleaned up by the Ascent players that are just kind of fluttering around. Paddy's doing an excellent job of just kind of finding these kills that have been opened up to him by his soldiers, by his demo man. But obviously did die for the cause, but his scouts will carry on the work that he's laid out, and Sai's been actually cleaned up by just as equally as good as the Svift kind of sink fire there. Oh, they're still going in on Brack. I want to throw you back in, but the fight keeps going. The plays keep playing by, and I have to keep casting, and they will actually keep this push going all the way to a 3 second.
And this situation is really looking alike as what we saw yesterday when the Svift played 7. Every Uber trade is just seems to go in favor of Svift. That was the same yesterday, and once again, high five King Loge in the air. Finally gets a fuck onto Marmalou, actually is opening things up for his team, but the damage output from Bedonsky just forces the Uber out of skis, and now Nursey, all she has to do is just scanning the charge. She finally uses it, and maybe it's going to be a push out for Ascent. I can see Bobo getting shot onto lobby, but Bobo claiming the frag onto Bobo, and it looks like he's relentless. He's still trying to go. He's getting completely denied by aim with 2 nice rockets into the scout, and this is going to be it for Ascent. They can't push back anymore.
Amateur mistake coming out from Boar there. He might have got the kill onto bot mode, but usually you get this when you kind of get a frag and you feel like things are going for you, keep the momentum up, but you don't really just sit back and think and look at the larger picture of things. And the larger picture there, Svift were going to have a massive defense, and they just completely obliterated him when he entered his fight in his face in second.
And now it's going to be another hold. This time probably Svift, they haven't been taking things slow so far, and it's been quite successful for them. I mean, Ascent doesn't look like they are kind of, they're kind of in a hot seat right now. Whenever Svift is trying to push, it looks like Ascent is kind of being overwhelmed. But this is glass now, and Paddy has built up a sentry gun, so maybe Swift will have to take things slow and try to suck some people in, try to get some offlats going with the respawners.
About 30 seconds has passed, and you know what that means. Ascent are like, there's something's going off here. They go to the Spy class, they have a quick check of those classes, can't find anything because Swift, of course, are not running any off classes right now. They're just sticking with the cookie cutter lineup and just kind of having a quick chatter amongst themselves. What should we do, guys? How are we going to break this last hold from Ascent? And it seems like the play was to make a play onto the flank. It hasn't worked out for them, but they did just lose 2 players. But it is Sunshine last, baby. It's going to be really hard to push out, even with a 2-man advantage.
And apparently Ascent is aware of that. It doesn't look like they're really eager to push. And as I said, the Uber being on 2 sides, the shotgun maybe forces the Uber out of Skis. No, Skis milking the charge. This is looking really, really bad for Ascent. Now they have to come back and hoping that Swift will just beat the push.
That has worked magnificently for Swift right now. I'm not sure if that was the plan all along, but it has worked their way. They've got that 100% Uber charge. They can actually afford to really take their time with this, maybe spam out the sentry gun before they pop in. No time for that luxury though. They're just actually going to go straight in, take out the level 1 sentry gun, start getting some damage into some of these flank players. They will take out the heavy, but he was destined to die to soak up this Uber. There's a lot of frags I'm seeing over on the Swift side. Maybe they can delay things though on these last few players. They do have the Donsky up. They do have Paddy up. All they have to do right now is block the point, get some frags going based on Swift playing that point. Maybe they can get the respawners in time. No, they cannot. It will actually be the Swift round on Brack.
And that push out from Ascent was such a mistake. They took so long to go out and eventually only got a solo Uber on 2 sides. But what can a 1 soldier do against the rest of the enemy team? He couldn't get the force out of Skis, and then the collapse happened on Ascent. But Swift, you really have to highlight the way they play. They just guide the Uber so well. Skis not forcing, not giving in. And in the end, it's a really proper, nice round. And I think we have a tactical pause now asked by Ascent.
Oh, interesting. So they're going to just have a quick chat over, see what was going wrong for either of these teams. It could be a technical issue. We'll probably see if we can find out that information for you. But in the meantime, yes, it's actually a technical pause for Ascent. Not quite the tactical pause, but I mean, a pause all the same. So, I mean, these players are going to keep talking throughout this pause. It's all but natural for them to keep using this to their advantage and thinking, what should we do next? How are we going to fix these certain things? And what do you think they're talking about, Ombrag?
Well, I think Paddy's not really happy with the way Ascent is playing right now, especially when it comes to Uber trade, because it feels like every team fight is working in favor of Swift. The only time where Ascent won the fight was when they had a clear Uber ad or clear man advantage, but whenever it's like 6 people against 6 people or even Ubers, Swift is just looking like they're taking the better end of every fight, especially because of High Five. I mean, High Five, nobody seems like is able to shut him down, and he's been just walking over everyone on Ascent. So maybe some kind of new strategies going for Ascent, because they really have to be more packed and to be able to deny High Five, because I feel like if they manage to shut High Five down, this is going to go way, way better for Mamoulou and the rest of his teammates. I
think you were right on the money when it came to some of these Ubers in. They were actually taking a lot of soldiers in these Ubers, I noticed, and the disadvantage of running these soldier Ubers is you need to spend your ammunition on actually just getting to the bloody enemy. So by the time you get to them, you've got nothing to really expend. Guy doesn't really get this problem so much because you can use that shotgun to a little bit of effect, but it's still just a shotgun at the end of the day. You're not going to bully down 300 health enemies, and you really need that splash damage to put a massive effect on that team fight if you're going in with these Uber advantages. I'd like to see maybe some demo man scout Ubers being pushed out from these last points. You know, they can close the line now with that little medic taxi sort of buff that they gave to him not recently, but you know, it's kind of a thing that teammates need to kind of keep in mind when they're playing this game now. They have got options to them, they just need to flex them all.
Yeah, like quickly before going into that 4th run, I'd like to see Bedonsky taking a bit more of responsibility into the push, because I feel like Paddy is just sucking a lot of the heals and the Bedonsky is just kind of left behind. So maybe making Ascent should make that demo man a bit more of a cornerstone in their gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, Bedonsky has gotten used to that style of avoiding a lot of the heals. That's what makes him so good, is he does put out a lot of damage, but maybe he's just that good with heals as well. Maybe not. Why not try it out as we're entering our 4th mid of the game? so far. It's been very successful for Ascent in some of these games, and they're just doing this constant thing where they're just rotating around this point, seeing who will actually jump to that clock tower first. You do see Svift, they're the first ones to go in, and no one's really punished them for it. I say that on bracket, bot mode gets cleaned up by the jump from Marmaloo now, and you do have Ascent just having trouble to get back into this fight, even off this little pick here. Look at the health for Ascent right now. They're so weak. Thank God there's an Uber to maybe stabilize things a little bit. They're playing a bit strong, and playing strong has worked for Ascent. God, one scout could have cleaned up the entire team at one point on Brack.
Yeah, that fight lasted for so long. The midpoint hasn't been captured yet, and both Ubers have been traded. So that was really a really long mid fight. And again, I feel like Svift is taking the things really cautiously. No jumps from either ZD or AIM, kind of waiting around the house. So I'm not sure this is the proper solution here, because this is such an open middle. I would expect the solo to try to bomb in, dive in, and expect their scout to follow in. So now this is going to be a better situation for Paddy. He's leading his team through that kitchen onto the second point. It looks like Swift, they have to give up the high ground, because Ascent is just taking it. And what a nice and clean push here, just really dominant and disrespectful towards Swift.
I do appreciate that Swift actually backed out with all of their players there. It's usually very tempted to hold on to that point, but that second point is so cruel to the defenders if you don't have a maneuver to really expend. They will pop in very late into that, and it is giving them a bit of positional advantage, a good amount of damage, and they can work with the Uber to get some clean. And look at the difference. They pop so much later on Brack, and the Ubers is just so much stronger. I saw a scout in that Uber as well. Again, straight into the face, because they can close that gap on Brack.
Yeah, I was kind of worried for Ascent, because it looks like they were chasing frag and not putting any cap time while everyone from Swift was in the spawn, but apparently their team was so on point on this, but that it was just enough to get all the frags before Skis get his own Uber. So now it's 2-2 once again. Ascent replying to Swift with a really, really quick round.
Oh, what a camera angle on Brack. That is a lovely piece of production right there. It's get to really highlight how much of these teams respect one another and don't really want to cross that line. They will actually go back and just keep blobbing up, seeing who can kind of farm all these health packs quick enough to kind of rejoin these fights and become just a slightly bigger blob. A bit of a nice shotgun deny coming out from Sai and Paddy to take the kill onto AIM there, but this is what happens every single time. They get the initial pick, they go aggressive off top of that pick, they all die to the meat grinder of Svift, and then it's like a little Mexican standoff, DM fight, chaos towards the end here. It's just this scout left. Hi-Fi could maybe start equalizing this out, and he needs to get the health back. He has picked that up now, and now it's a soldier versus a very high HP Hi-Fi, and he will clean it up and clutch it for his team there.
I don't think we're allowed to use the word Mexican ever again at 312 Turbo Tap. I saw you mention that before, but I don't think we can. And as I'm just blabbering about something that doesn't really make sense, really strong, even fight. Once again, this mid really looked like they could go either way. This time, just Hi-Fi taking the better end of this fight. But once again, that was really clean. Nursey dying first somehow is a good thing for Ascent, because now they're sitting on a slight Uber ad.
All part of the plan. It was all part of the plan. Usually you do sometimes see these teams where they kind of sacrifice their medic safety just to get a very clean aggression. I mean, if you take away one less job for these scouts, for these soldiers, maybe they can do more on these mids, and they did just enough to maybe get this Uber charge advantage ready. I'm not sure if they'll use it though. They might have lost track during all of the in-game fighting that maybe they don't have the advantage, but Ascent a much better team than I could ever predict. They do know they have that Uber. They're already using it to kind of scare the rest of Swift back, but scaring isn't good enough. They want to use it. They want to get them straight into the fight and see if they can take a few picks here and there. They want to collapse maybe over on this cafe bit on Paddy. Paddy does a nice turnaround. He's on 8 HP and he's still pressing that W key on Brack.
Why would he push with 9 health? Paddy, what are you doing?
I hate idiots.
that push, once again, was kind of greedy, I feel, from Paddy. I think he just called for Nursey to follow him, but Nursey died in that process because when the Uber faded, there was no one to protect her from, I think it was Hi-Fi, once again claiming the frag onto the medic. So maybe, once again, the overextension from Paddy costing a lot to his team, because Skis is sitting on a sizable Uber advantage. Swift can take this mid for free, because Ascent is really sitting really far back, and we're coming to the time zone where when you lose a round, you may as well lose the map. So it's going to be really, really tight for Ascent now.
I think that was the key word there, Bragg, 3. That point of mid was given away so freely that actually they forced out the Uber from Skis over in that second point. Very nice for Ascent there. They only lose the Marmaduke kill. They might actually lose 4 here. He actually does almost a turnaround kill onto high 5, but he's just got way too much HP to really guarantee that kill for him. They do lose 2 players, but they haven't got an Uber charge to actually push this last point. Now, maybe they still want to do it. They haven't really set up a sentry gun or had a chance to over on Ascent now, and they're looking at these doorways, but with every time the second that passes on this clock, you've got more respawners, they've got more opportunities to kind of solidify defense for Ascent.
And I'm not expecting the Ascent to make the same mistake once again. They pushed earlier and they lost the round, but with only 3 minutes remaining, you can't really afford to lose a round right now because it may as well meaning losing the map. But apparently they don't really care. Paddy's once again trying to lead his team to push into that second point, checking for stickies. There's no one. Nursey can walk freely into that second point area. And Svift is happy to give up the point, really. The Uber has been used onto Paddy, but can't do much more against 6 guys. Bor claims a frag to high 5, and now the Uber has been used by Skins. It could be really, really bad for Ascent. There's some cap time going, but everyone is kind of weak onto Ascent. But somehow, Swift, everyone is dying all week, so I don't really know what happened. Feels like just Ascent baited Swift into a really bad repush.
Paddy, is he going to turn this around? Is he actually going to hold on to this second point? It looked like it was in the bag for Swift there. They kited them for so long, they got their own Uber charge out, but they just make it work over on Ascent. I was a little bit worried because Paddy took the majority of that Uber. They were so bunched up that he could only really focus one target at a time, and I don't think he had enough firepower to really justify that solo scout Uber.
And the clock is ticking down, 2 minutes remaining, and now it's going to be the Uber at Ascent. Swift is going to be kind of shaky maybe right now. They're kind of going to break a sweat because what can they do? How can they hold this point without losing anyone, not losing the round? Because Nursey is going to be with the pushing with this good Uber up. It looks like Ascent is taking their sweet time. I don't see them pushing right now, and maybe Swift will be able to get their own Uber in time.
Yeah, it's a common tactic. Usually if you've got this sort of tie-in situation and you've got so much time left, if you just let the time drag out where you can't possibly lose but you can still win, it's very advantageous for you. They'll go with the solo Paddy Scout Uber again, and he wants to focus down. He will actually get that soldier low enough that he kind of forces the hand of Skis, playing that sort of save my buddy syndrome maybe. I wouldn't mind losing a soldier just to kind of guarantee an Uber defense there. But Swift decided to roll with it, they use their Uber charge now, and Ascent is set up in a position where they're building that Uber just as quickly now against Swift. Maybe they can actually get a dot push in. They actually push in without an Uber. A good old dry push, NA style aggression, I like it, but the Pyro is coming out, being a bit of a pain, and I guess maybe that's a good reason why we don't do dry pushes here on Bragg.
Yeah, that was kind of maybe greedy here from Ascent, but I mean, they're still all up, 30 seconds left. They still have time for one last push, turbo taps, and they have to make it count because otherwise it's going to be a golden cap.
I mean, where are all the players they can take in this Uber though? And they're wasting time now. Skis has his Uber. They should have been going the very second they got that Uber charge over on Ascent. Now they will pop off in kind, really just making sure that they don't lose this Uber. They have to make sure no one loses a major amount of health or their life during this little last push. And look at it, the safe play from Svift is guaranteed this last point.
Look at them from side!
There's just one soldier left. He needs to bat him off. He's got no health whatsoever to really continue that little last push from Ascent there. It could have been a nightmare on Bragg, but it's actually an even fight. Still a dream in for any of these teams right now.
The read from side, looking, he just saw that his teammates were just drawing their attention to themselves, so he just tried to go for the point play. And has he been a scout, he would have just got the cap for his team, but that was really, really close. Once again, just Ascent going deep without only DM, no kind of ad whatsoever, and we called this series to be really close, and the first map we already have a golden cap.
Oh, shoulda, woulda, coulda, shoulda, woulda, coulda. If only there was a scout on that point on Bragg, but I guess the scouts have just been so DM-centric on this Ascent squad that they don't really want to commit that sort of point in. They have got a golden cap now to play, to think about, to kind of theorize and craft some sort of plan here and how they're going to take this. And I don't know about you on Bragg, but it feels like golden cap is a whole new game of TF2.
Oh yeah, you really don't want to be caught off guard, because if you lose the mid, you may as well lose the round and then the map. So it's going to be really important for these two teams not to go too deep and not diving in and giving free frags to the enemy team. So we're probably going to see the same kind of mids we've seen so far, really cautious and patient middle from both teams with no soldiers jumping in. Or maybe this is the exact time to be surprising the enemy team and actually going really aggressive. So it's going to be interesting to see what decisions both of these teams will make, because so far they've been playing the exact same game, really scout-centric, high five on one end, Paddy on the other. So so far, these two teams look like it's a mirror match.
Yeah, usually what you do in these sort of scenarios is you kind of evaluate what your mids have been like and whether or not it's been working out for you. So, for example, Ascent have been doing a very good job of winning these mids by playing it passive, and whilst the enemy team has also been playing passive, you see Svift maybe thinking, if we can't start bringing out some cheesy strats over on this midpoint, maybe get some fast rollouts, overcommit to one side, go full balls to the wall aggression on the dead man straight to the few seconds of the mid. Maybe they can kind of just pull it from underneath Ascent now. But there's no need to theorize, there's no need to worry. We're going into our golden cap of our first map in this best of 3 of Svift versus Ascent. The winner will continue the lower bracket. The loser, well, might get knocked out here if they contribute the full map loss. But it's just a first little step in this long best of 3. Nobody's really jumping from either team so far. Zilly will actually open up, taking the long way around. These long little flanks from him has paid off, and nobody on Svift is actually taking aggression. They've learned from the mistakes, and look, they stick with that blob. They just hold back, walk across the point. They're not going to push the envelope here. They're just going to wait back and just use that spam. And look at the spam on Brack. Ascent have nothing to do here. They do have a soldier kind of sitting behind them right now. They've actually switched sides, it looks like, and
they're going in.
Yeah, they've noticed, like, if we cap this midpoint, bum rush the second, there's nothing you can do, Ascent, and they've actually set people up. Badonsky bomb is coming in to maybe pick up the slack of this little defense here. It's falling, it's crumbling for Ascent right now. They've lost the point before they even have a chance to defend it on Brack. Svift have started their journey very well in this little Cinderella story of a match.
And that was a Turbo Tab solo cast for you guys. I haven't said a word during the whole Golden Cap, so what a round from Swiss. Really dominant middle.